from the Big Bang. If the Big Bang actually occurred, scientists believe we should see these slight ripples or variations in the temperature of the cosmic background radiation that these guys discovered, okay? And these temperature ripples enabled matter to congregate by gravitational attraction into galaxies. Okay. You with me so far? Mm-hmm. So from the Big Bang, boom! Radiation from the Big Bang, right, apparently caused slight variation, ripples, in this cosmic radiation background that enabled matter to now congregate by gravitational attraction into galaxies.
Okay. That's crazy. Though.
Is that crazy?
Yeah.
Okay. So what they did was, in 1989, the search for these ripples, right, was intensified when NASA launched a $200 million satellite, and they called it COBE, with a C. Cosmic Background Explorer. And it says here, carrying extremely sensitive instruments, COBE was able to see whether or not these ripples actually existed in the background radiation and how precise they were. So, this I'm just reading it from this documented book. When the project leader, astronomer George Smoot, announced COBE's findings in 1992, his shocking characterization was quoted in newspapers all over the world. He said, quote, "If you're religious, it's like looking at God." Wow. University of Chicago astrophysicist Michael Turner was no less enthusiastic, claiming, quote, "The significance of this discovery cannot be overstated. They found the holy grail of cosmology." Wow. Cambridge astronomer Stephen Hawking also agreed, calling the finding, quote, "the most important discovery of the century, if not of all time." So why did this COBE thing, what's the big deal here? Well, COBE, this whole satellite, not only found these ripples, right, in this cosmic radiation, but scientists were amazed at their precision. The ripples show, and this is the key thing, that the explosion and the expansion of the universe was precisely tweaked to cause just enough matter to congregate to allow galaxy formation. Wow. Just by accident. But not enough to cause the universe to collapse back in on itself.
Sure.
That's crazy.
Any slight variation, one way or the other, and none of us would be here to tell about it. In fact, the ripples are so exact, down to 1 part in 100,000, that Smoot called them, quote, the machining marks from the creation of the universe, and, quote, the fingerprints of the maker.
Wow.
But these temperature ripples are not just dots on a scientist's graph somewhere. COBE actually took infrared pictures of the ripples. Now keep in mind that space observations are actually observations of the past because of the long time it takes from light from distant objects to reach us. So COBE's pictures are actually pictures of the past. That is, the infrared pictures taken by COBE point to the existence of matter from the very early universe that would ultimately form into galaxies and clusters of galaxies. Smoot called these matter seeds of the galaxies as they exist today. If you want to check out the website of this COBE website, it's http://lambda, LAMBDA, LAMB, no www, but http://LAMB, lambda, LAMBDA GSFC.nasa.gov. Okay? LAMBDA.
Oh, snap. He has such a Caribbean handwriting. Caribbean handwriting. You guys say LAMBS.
He has Chinese.
It's all B. Yeah, you said.
Yeah, you said.
You said BD.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Come on, Tia.
Lord.
So snap.
Okay, you got that? So, it's pretty cool. I didn't bring my laptop today. But what's really cool about this, actually, if you want, we're actually online. We are online here. That's right, because we have this. So if you want online, we can go online and check it out right after this.
All right.
But what's crazy about all this is that these quote-unquote seeds of galaxies are the largest structures ever detected, with the biggest extending across 1/3 of the known universe. That's 10 billion light years or 60 billion trillion miles.
Wow.
So now you can see why the scientists were so amazed at their discovery, because something predicted by the Big Bang was again found, and something was so big and precise that it made a Big Bang with science. You know? So what's powerful about all this is you got to understand, here are scientists amazed. And like what we talked about before in the book of Job, we just see from creation today the outer works. Imagine if we were able to go into space and see how amazing this is. I mean, we're talking about galaxies here, guys. Like hundreds of millions. I mean, the fine-tuning of what we're talking about is so specific that if it was a little bit more, planets would never have been created. If it was a little bit less, the universe would have came back in on itself. But it's all an accident. See, I don't have enough faith to be an atheist. Because we've got to ask ourselves, if these scientists themselves are blown away by this, why not we? See, that's the question that we've got to ask ourselves. And even if Einstein talked about God, obviously, I mean, you know what? We're smarter than Einstein, aren't we? Really? See, again, it goes back to the fact of simply this. What we looked here is that very often we don't want to accept these things because we don't want to accept the limitations.
Yeah.
We don't want to accept these limitations. We don't want to live a life that is quote-unquote good. In Psalms 14, the Bible says this in verse 1. The fool says in his heart, there is no God. They are corrupt, their deeds are vile, there is no one who does good. The Lord looks down from heaven on the sons of men to see if there are any who understand, any who seek God. All have turned aside, they have together become corrupt. There is no one who does good, not even one. I think the challenge for us today, guys, is we got to ask ourselves, looking at all this. Well, my gosh, we haven't even gotten to Einstein.
Yeah.
Right? What's Einstein's theory of relativity? Come on.
MC
Square.
Okay. The whole point of Einstein's theory of general relativity is that it demands a general beginning and an absolute beginning for time, space, and matter. So all this stuff didn't just naturally come together by no reason. There was an absolute beginning for time, space, and matter, which means that the universe did not always exist. Right? So if the universe didn't always exist, then
Law of causality.
going back to the law of causality, if the universe had a beginning, then what, guys? The universe had a cause.
Yeah.
Right? So the question is, who or what is that cause? But we know from the second law of thermodynamics, if there was no matter, no time, and no space, then how did it start?
It was a Big Bang when God said, let there be light.
Now it's funny, exactly, when you think about the Big Bang. God said, let there be light. Boom! Now it's interesting, because scientists can't answer that question. They cannot. Because they weren't there.